Hi, my name is Seraphel, and today we're going to be working on an ancient relic. This doll was gifted to me by a friend, and I have only opened it up now because I just have a lot of dolls to go through, and sometimes opening dolls is the last thing I want to do, but I want to work on her today, knowing that she has Polly. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh wow! Her face is actually really good. My luck when it comes to these blind package dolls has never been the best, but at the end of the day, I became a customizer for this purpose, so it's not that big of a deal. I still feel bad though when I get a doll with a good face only to end up wiping it off. I'm so glad they moved on from doing packaging like this because I hate having to remove the doll from the box like this. It is so annoying. I mean, I guess you don't have to do it like this. I'm just meticulous for no reason. I'm actually really happy that they switched to the Oasis designs where it's like a suitcase box. You get so much more storage. It doubles as a playset for people who actually use the case as a playset, and the dolls are now Saran, which is crazy to think that I won't ever have to reroot a Polly doll ever again. Wait a minute. Is this polypropylene? Why does this feel kind of good? Hold on guys, I'm kind of scared. I don't know if this is Polly or Saran. Alright, let's do some research. Every Skulltimate Secrets doll was Polly, but let's check Dollect.net. No, because why does it feel so... It's coated in something. It's coated in something, but like it feels... I know the burn test is a thing, but I don't have I have an electric lighter. I don't know if it'd get the same effect. Yeah, her hair is polypropylene. Why does it feel good? That is crazy. Not even Twyla and Ghoulia felt like this. Their hair genuinely felt like straw, so I'm quite surprised. But anyways, this isn't a doll review. This is me just opening a doll to work on. Look at how badly the pleather has held up. I don't know, I think the Neon Frights line pleather is substantially worse quality. I have Coffee Break Frankie, and I use their pleather shorts pretty frequently, and even their shorts haven't like started puckering and lifting and getting all wrinkly like this. But all my Neon Frights dolls, all of their pleather, it's gone. It's so nasty and I want to throw them away, but the other part of me is like, okay, you know, what if you need a nasty pleather short for like a certain look that you want to do? But whatever, it's fine. I'm not concerned about the gimmick because I'm focusing on the doll. Her face is actually quite cute, quite sweet. Unfortunately, she's gonna be erased. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna try it. Don't do this unless you're an adult. Ooh. Ugh. That melted immediately. And now you're wondering, what does Saran look like when it gets burned? I don't know. Save this because factory hair ties last very long. Well, color me surprised. I never thought Polly could feel good like that. A lot of people had said when Cleo was first released and also when Abby was first released, they were feeling the hair and they were like, oh yeah, it feels good. It's Polly, but it feels good. But when I got my hands on a Polly Cleo, or I actually never had the chance to get my hands on a Polly Cleo. I got her when her Saran variant came out. But when I got my hands on Abby and I felt her hair, I was like, this is disgusting. This disgusting sensory nightmare. I've just never had the experience of Polly feeling good. I've just always tried to avoid Polly as much as I can, but this is evil. This is evil. Usually I tie off the hair to keep it all in one place, but honestly, it's gonna fly everywhere anyway, so I'm not gonna do that. Also, I hope no one takes me saying that, oh, this Polly feels good as an oh, that means it's okay to use poly, because it's not. I'm aware this is one of the more popular discourses, so really anything I have to say probably has already been said, but just to make it clear on my channel and for those who aren't aware, polypropylene, it doesn't last. In a few years, it ends up rotting off of your doll, like genuinely just dry rotting. Like if, I think I also have like a Disney store doll, and it's in box because my parents said I wasn't allowed to open it, but I've never touched her. But she has polypropylene that the last time I went to look in our display cabinet and I looked in the box, bits of her hair have fallen all across like the inside of the box, and that's just from it being poly. No one has touched her. It's just been years and her hair has rotted off. Poly is also incredibly notorious for matting very badly, and you know, it might not be an issue if you're an adult collector who knows how to carefully detangle hair, or you know, if you are a child who knows how to carefully detangle hair. But imagine the children who don't know how to do that. Then what? Then what? They have a giant matted mess and the doll just becomes landfill because they don't want to play with it anymore. So even if you manage to mask the nasty, dry, brittle feeling of poly, it doesn't change up the chemical makeup, and it doesn't change up the properties of it just being the demon hair fiber. I will always be an advocate of no poly. I wish there were a cheaper alternative, but at the end of the day, I don't really care about a corporation's budget when it comes to making their dolls, and I don't care if you lose money making these dolls. Make good dolls that last, and people will buy them. Okay, we're done. This is my Draculaura. I'm just kidding. Also, I may not be a fan of the colors that they chose for Draculaura in this line, but really, like, looking at her face, this placement is so good. And her face is very sweet. It's very cute. Sometimes I try too hard to get close to the plastic that I end up nicking ears or cutting into the vinyl, so at some point I just have to be like, this is close enough. I don't know if I ever said this, but this is a silicone mat for anyone who's curious. And you clean up stubbles with a lint roller because these will end up stabbing me. And it gets really annoying. I actually usually cut off doll hair on the floor of my room, but I didn't want to set up a whole recording thing on the floor, so time to take her head off. Once she's been guillotined, I'll trim down the neck peg and remove the hair plugs. Afterwards, I let the head sit in some hot water to shrink the plugs so that the rerooted hair will fit snugly. Draculaura's new hair will be Saran in the shades Dark Chocolate and Rose Quartz from the Doll Planet. I wasn't sure what hairstyle I was going to give her at first, so I just cut the hanks in half. But honestly, if you want to save hair and you already know that you don't want your doll's hair to be ankle length, then you could probably get away with cutting the hank into thirds. I started off with Rose Quartz since I knew I wanted to give her a peekaboo dye job. Afterwards, I filled out the remaining holes with Dark Chocolate. I usually don't have a plan when it comes to rerooting a doll with a fun dye job. A lot of it is just guesswork and going, using this color here feels right. Drac was quite easy since it was a simple peekaboo dye job, but with a doll like my Neon Frights Twyla, for example, that was mostly guessing and just hoping that the final product would fit my vision. Once all the hairs have been plugged, I add my fabric glue and squish the head around. I also like to use a bit of plastic to preserve the hair part while the glue dries. With the glue dried overnight, it's finally time for the face up. You know the drill: remove the factory face with acetone, wash the head to remove any acetone residue, and then give the doll 2 starting layers of Mr. Super Clear. Now that I've started my sketch, it's time to think about the sort of expression or vibe that I wanted to give my doll. I saw this BJD head on Instagram a while back who I believe is Chihaya or Chihayao from Whole Doll Studio. I was obsessed with her sassy little expression, and I also really liked how the artist did her face up. I've also been kind of obsessed with LE SSERAFIM's recent release, Spaghetti. I think the song is fun, and I also think Yunjin's bleached brows look really cool. With all of this in mind, I settled for a kind of sassy, mean, and confident sort of vibe for Draculaura. I'm approaching the end of this can of MSC, which means that my layers aren't giving enough grit I'd want them to. Most of the face applied in a kind of blurry, smudgy way, and trying to erase big mistakes would honestly just make it worse. So I just used a wet brush to gently move the colors around. I found that white was quite helpful in this regard, and I'd also suggest only using lighter colors with this technique. Darker watercolor pencils tend to stain in my experience. Also, lightly wetting the tip of your pencil can help draw on more pigment if the pencil isn't getting picked up by the grit of the MSC. But I'll also warn you that the colors will, obviously, be more pigmented. You want to avoid using too much pressure because the pencil will dry down to a waxy finish and it may affect your following layers of color. I always leave details like Draculaura's fangs until the last layer, which doesn't give me a lot of leeway for experimenting. I used wet white watercolor pencil on a brush just to see how I'd like to have her fangs drawn in later. When I put pastels over it, it will look a bit patchy, but Draculaura will be getting a darker lip, so most of it will be covered up. The faint silhouette will also be really helpful as a guide when I eventually paint them on for real. For Draculaura's makeup, I'm referencing both the BJD face-up as well as the smoky eye looks seen in LE SSERAFIM's Compact Bites version photos. With the first layer done, it's time to rinse and repeat. I go over all my lines and continue to lay down pastels. Since I wanted Draculaura to look like she had a bleached brow, I went over them with white instead of building on more color. And now we're on the final layer. I really wanted to make sure that her eyelashes were nice and wispy, so I really took my time sharpening my pencil and putting down gentle strokes. I think these are probably my best eyelashes yet. And with her catchlights, she's finally come to life. I've never done a Draculaura's fangs like her G1 counterpart before, so I thought it'd be perfect for this face up. She got her 2 final layers of MSC and a boil wash after those layers were completely dry. I also hacked at her hair with my scissors for a bit just to get some face framing layers. I had forgotten to record her first layer of gloss varnish, so I thought I'd include me adding the second layer. Here's the final look for my not-so-neon Frights Draculaura. I think it's kind of funny how 2 out of my 3 neon Fright schools have turned out so different from their original theming. Maybe that's the move. I love how sassy she turned out. Part of me thinks that spaghetti really snuck its way into my subconscious and influenced this Drac's face. Draculaura is quite well loved, but there are also a number of people who bag on her for quote-unquote stealing the slots in various lines. I know it's all in good fun, and it's not that serious, but I thought spaghetti suited her quite well. You can call Draculaura whatever names you want, but at the end of the day, she's a bestseller for a reason. Stuck in your head, a bad dish between your teeth. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know if you can tell, but I am incredibly congested because I have a fever, but I really wanted to get this video out so I can have my closure with this doll and move on to the next. I appreciate that you stuck through despite how nasty I sound. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.